You can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The third topic in the third module is vulnerability scanning techniques that we're going to see. Okay. So some techniques that are used in the security assessment. Okay. First, we need to understand what the security assessment is. Okay. Or the security assessment framework. Okay. Now, network reconnaissance and discovery that is done, and that is used to identify the host and network topology and open service and open ports, establishes an overall attack surface area over there. Okay. Now, there are various types of security assessments that can be used to test those hosts and services for the vulnerabilities. Okay. Many models and frameworks for conducting the security assessments are available. Okay. Starting point is the NIST technical guide for the information security testing and assessment, that is 800-115, the special publications by NIST. Okay. Which defines three principal activities within the assessment. First is testing, then examining, then interviewing. Okay, testing the object under assessment to discover the vulnerabilities or to prove the effectiveness of the security controls. Okay, examining the assessment objects to understand the security system and identify any logical weaknesses over there. Okay, now this might highlight a lack of security controls or a common misconfiguration. Then at last, interviewing the personnel to gather information and probe attitudes toward and understanding of security. Yeah, these three things that basically the guide special publication defines that these three things to be done while performing the security assessment. Okay. Then the main types of security assessment are usually vulnerabilities, vulnerability assessment, and threat hunting, and then penetration testing. These three things are there. Now, what is a vulnerability assessment? That's basically the evaluation of a system's security and the ability to meet the compliance requirements based on the configuration state of the system. Okay. The vulnerability assessment, finding out the vulnerabilities and assessing those vulnerabilities and to determine that how severe the vulnerability is. Threat hunting is basically to get the more information. Okay, looking for the threats in the network. Okay, looking for the threats in the network, and then we have the penetration testing. Okay, now penetration testing is exploiting those vulnerabilities. Okay, and to test the security posture of the organization, that how effective the controls are and how many vulnerabilities are there and how much data is exposed to the rest of the world for the attackers basically. Okay. Now, vulnerability assessment can use a mix of manual procedures and the automated scanning tools. Two ways are there that can be done: manual inspection of the security controls, okay, and the baseline, the automated one. And how it is done? Basically, there are predefined baselines for vulnerability assessment. Okay, for manual, we define it manually. Okay, for automate, or we go for the best practices out there, the benchmarks that we already have discussed from CIS and all. Okay, CIS and Cloud Security Alliance. And when it comes to automated, the tools, they already have the baseline within them. Okay, so they test the infrastructure whether the system is on the baseline or not. If it is not on the baseline, then the system is vulnerable. All right. So we discussed the vulnerability scan types now. Okay, there are different vulnerability scan types. The automated scanner over there that must be configured with the signatures and the scripts that can correlate the known software and the configuration vulnerabilities with the data gathered from each host. Okay, and there are several types of vulnerability scanners optimized for the different tasks. Like network vulnerability scanner is there. Okay, like Nessus is there. Okay, like the one that you can see on the screen is OpenVAS. Okay, the green bones OpenVAS is there. Okay, GFI LAN guard is there. Those works for the network. Okay, designed to touch the network host, including the client PC, mobile devices, servers, routers, okay, switches. Okay, they examine an organization's on-prem systems, applications, and devices, and compares the scan result to the configuration templates plus the list of known vulnerabilities. Okay, the typical results of the vulnerability assessment uh, will identify the missing patches, deviation from the baseline configuration templates, and other related vulnerabilities out there. Okay, then the application and the web application scanners. Okay, a dedicated web application scanner is configured with more detailed and specific scripts to test the known attacks as well as scanning for missing patches and weakness configuration. Okay, the best known class of application scanners are the web application scanners. Okay, the NICTO is one of them. Okay, that look for the known web exploits like SQL injection or cross-site scripting. Okay, and also analyze source code in the database security to detect unsecure programming practices over there. Okay, Acunetics is one of them. Nessus is one of them. That also goes for web vulnerability scanning. But we need to configure a little bit on Nessus. Okay. And there is common vulnerability and exposure. Okay. The automated scanner basically that needs to be kept up to date with the information about the known vulnerability. And this information is often described as a vulnerability feed. Okay. The network, the tools, there are different tools, and there are different names for that. Like Nessus refers the feeds as the plugins. OpenVAS refers them as network vulnerability tests. Okay, so vulnerability feed forms are an important part of scan vendors' commercial model. Okay, and the latest updates require valid subscription to acquire them. Okay, vulnerability feeds makes use of your common identifiers to facilitate the sharing of intelligence data across different platforms. Okay, and many vulnerability scanner use security content automation protocol. Okay, to obtain the feed or plugins update. Okay, as well as providing a mechanism for distributing a feed. Okay, SCAP defines ways to compare the actual configuration of a system to a target secure baseline with various systems of common identifiers. Okay, now these identifiers supplies standard means for different products to refer to a vulnerability or platform consistently. Okay, that is known as CVE, the common vulnerabilities and exposure. Okay, that is basically a dictionary of vulnerabilities in the publishing operating systems and application software defined by MITRE. CVE.mitre.org is the website where you will be finding out all the vulnerabilities listed. Okay, there is a different content over there. After CVE there is year. Okay, and then after that there is a number. Okay, so that's basically the identifier and the format. CVE stands for common vulnerability and exposure. Year, the vulnerability was discovered, and this will be minimum of 4 digits. Okay, right now it is 5 digits also these days. Okay, so 4 digits that indicate the order in which the vulnerability was discovered. Okay, when you click on that particular name, okay, a brief description of the vulnerability will be there. A reference list of the URLs that supply more information of the vulnerability was there. Vulnerability will be there, and the date the vulnerability entry was created. Okay, let me just